What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is Chris with Chris for Christ Publications. You probably seen me on a few different YouTube shows, Chris and the XD, C4 Movement, all that. Go check us out. This is going to be kind of my own project, and I'm calling this Amateur Photography. I am the amateur in amateur photography, and just want to talk a little bit about what you can expect here, what this is, what this isn't, and just kind of come along on my journey here with me. So the reason I started this channel, I've always sort of had an interest in photography, just never really realized it, I guess. You buy a cell phone, for example, every year, every other year or whatnot, and you pay like a couple $100s more because, this one has a better camera in it. And after a while I started doing that, I said, maybe I ought to take a look and see, like, why am I paying this extra money? Like, what does this camera do for me that the last 2-3 cameras I had couldn't? So I started to, really dig into the settings and the menus and like seeing different shots and figuring out how to take better shots with my camera there. And eventually got to the point where I decided, you know what, I need to go for real with this. I need to really look at what photography is. You're seeing this video. This was recorded in early 2021. November of 2020 is when I started really getting serious, really doing some research and some reading. Grabbed a book talking about the basics of photography, how it all works, terminology, all that. And then in January of this year, 2021, I decided to purchase my first camera. So in my network, in my circle, social circle, whatever you want to call it, you go to like different churches, and every church there's always like 3 or 4 people there who are photographers who like do it for, a living, for a profession. So I'm looking at all that, looking at all the photographers I know, and I'm figuring, yeah, it's going to be so great. I got this huge circle of photographers, and there's probably like all kind of communities where we can like talk and discuss things, and we can all go through the journey together. It hasn't been like that, all right? There has been no such community that I've been able to find where people who are passionate about photography are willing to link up and network and walk each other through that journey there. And that's a tragedy to me. So because I can't join any community, there's no such community involved that I've been able to find like that, I decided to kind of start my own here, and that's why we're here. This is just going to be me talking about myself, who I am, things I'm learning along the way, all the many mistakes I'm going to be making, and eventually getting those ironed out. And this is just going to chronicle my journey to become a better photographer. I personally don't have any plans to do this professionally or for profit or anything at this point. Who knows down the line in the future, but we'll take a look. We'll see what happens. This is not going to be one of those shows where I sit on a high, lofty mountain and point down at your mortals and tell you thou shalt not. I don't have that experience. That's not who I am. Like, I'm not going to give out all this advice and preach to you and tell you what you need to do. This is also not going to be a forum for anybody who's held a camera for a couple years and think that they can swoop in and just correct everybody else. Like, we're going to open comments and all that, but that's not what this is going to be. So if you feel like you have to be right and you have to lord it over everybody, do yourself a favor and just kind of stay away, because this is about growing together. So I just wanted to share that and, get some more people along to join in on this and just kind of see what the world of photography has to offer everyone. And I know the big question is, a lot of people are probably thinking, Chris, there's, so many expert and professional photographers out there and so many YouTube videos I could be watching. Like, why should I listen to you? That is a great question. Let's get started. So with my experience here, January 2021 is when I first purchased my camera. And I want to just kind of walk you through the tech I use, some of the equipment I have, and just so you know what I'm using while I'm out in the field there in future shows. I want to start with, this is my baby, the first camera I purchased for myself, the Panasonic Lumix G7. Amazing camera, does everything I needed. It was such a perfect buy for me. And let me take a break here and just kind of give one of the rare instances of advice that I'll offer on this channel here. One of the biggest questions I see in research is, which camera should I buy starting out? And I would strongly caution anybody who has that same question, don't listen to any advice that tells you you have to buy this particular camera. Like this brand or this model is going to be the camera you go when you're a beginner. Don't do that to yourself. Here's why. Every camera pretty much is going to do the exact same thing. Like every camera you buy is going to have the same features, the same specs, usually in the same kind of range. There's, same options and different things you can do for settings and all that. So it's all going to be pretty much the same across the board. It's about how you use it and what you can do to make the most out of it. Every professional I've listened to, every expert or anybody who knows what they're talking about in photography, they all say the same thing. Like when you're just starting out, don't limit yourself to something just because a salesperson told you so. There are a lot of knowledgeable people out there who do work in photography sales. Listen to them, but the ones who really have your best interest in mind are going to tell you that it doesn't really matter so much which camera you start with. So, I say do it the old-fashioned way. Do the legwork, do the research on your own. Find the camera that speaks to you, and you can even go the old-fashioned way and say you don't choose the camera chooses you. That was my experience. I watched a lot of online reviews. I went through comment threads and the flame wars back and forth in comments and reviews and all that. Went to a couple stores, picked up cameras, shot around with them, but this one here, I never actually touched it until I bought it, until it was delivered to me. I ended up buying it online. I've seen other cameras in the same manufacturer, different spec range and all that, but when I finally brought this one, I opened it up, took it out the box, and that's when it just clicked for me. I know it sounds strange, but I did the research on it. I saw what it can do. I figured out, how I'm going to be using it, what sort of pictures I'm going to be taking. I found a camera in line with that, and this is it, and it just felt right. So, give yourself that chance. Give yourself that experience with it. You don't have to buy this one. This isn't intentional advertising for anybody, so, just kind of take what I'm saying with a grain of salt here. But Panasonic Lumix, everything I need. You've seen me in some of the other YouTube shows I do. And, in C4 movement and, all that, definitely check this out. This camera right here is something I wanted to be a little bit versatile. So if I'm in one of those other environments, I found out which camera is going to be the best for that to operate in both worlds there. It's going to take stunning pictures. The 4K picture mode is awesome. And I'm looking forward to the day where I can get that perfect shot, that beautiful moment, and just capture it in 4K, and it'll be great, and I'll be able to pat myself on the back for years to come. And also I can do 4K video if one of my other channels, we need that, and this is going to stand in for that. So you see why I picked something that's going to be a little bit versatile that can cover, a few different bases. And all for the price I paid for it is fantastic. I have the kit lens on here. This one came with the 14 to 42 millimeter, so good range there. Definitely great starting out. If you like me and starting out, just enough to point the camera away from you and take a picture. It's good. Also did have a few lenses I added onto there. Now, I've definitely been blessed financially, but I am always going to be cheap. So photography is one of those things where you do have to spend a little bit of money, so you do have to watch out. You have to budget carefully on that. And if you're like me, you only want to spend a certain amount, definitely consider some of the options here. Give yourself as broad a range as possible for what you're going to be using your camera for. First lens I picked up is the prime lens. This is the Micro Four Thirds version, so if you have a Micro Four Thirds camera, this will be a good fit for you. 25 millimeter prime lens, beautiful shots, beautiful results. I love it a lot. I would say if you could only get one lens, I'd recommend a prime lens. Reason being, they have a fixed focal length, so you can't zoom in on something. You can't crank the lens to like change the composition. Like if you want a different picture based on what you're seeing, you have to physically move around. You have to study it from different angles. You have to find the right angle that's going to get you that perfect shot. Definitely recommend, if you can only get one lens to add to your camera, you should probably make it a prime lens. Based on what you need, of course. This is just in my experience. If you're ever doing any sort of portraiture or anything like that, look at prime lenses that have the focal length that's going to match for what you're using. And also, too, I was fortunate enough to pick up a zoom lens or a telephoto lens. Both of these here, I paid like less than $200 for. So, this one here, 45 to 150 millimeter telephoto zoom. I do like to take pictures of, wild animals and stuff. So, I mean, if you're out there shooting like leopards and hyenas and tigers and bears and all that, you want to be as far away as possible, obviously. So, definitely recommend telephoto lens. So, it's nice to have one just in case if you're out and about and you happen to see, there's cool animals over there. Grab a telephoto lens so you can get that shot in without disturbing them and having to get too close to the subject. So that's just how I roll. So that's what I'm looking at. There's all kinds of stuff you can use for photography. We'll talk about the PC I use, the apps I use to do post-production work. We'll talk about my camera bag, everything that's in there. Getting a good camera bag is essential. I'll definitely, share a little bit of that there. And along the way, we're going to share a little bit of the photos I've taken. Some of the shots I've managed that I really like, I'll share those with you guys here. And if I'm ever out on the road, going on different road trips, I'll see what I can do to bring guys along, and we'll make a day of that. So this is who I am. This is Chris with Amateur Photography. Do want to thank you for tuning in. Definitely keep an eye out for more videos. Like, comment, subscribe. We have a lot of people in our network, C4 Movement, a lot of different things going there, so always check that out. But again, if you're just getting into photography, if you're wanting to join with me on the journey and just kind of see how I grow and see how I fall down and make mistakes and all that and point and laugh, that's okay. This is a growth process. This is going to be kind of a lifelong thing. So I'm excited to share it, so I hope you are too. And be on the lookout. Next episode, we're going to touch into some shots and correct some of the mistakes I've made and I've just kind of learned to get away from. So you don't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.